Nice dust plastic liner. Werewolves of London is definitely a, unfortunately, worn down. Greetings, my peoples, and welcome to this week's episode of Vinyl Douche ASMR. And if you like ASMR videos about music and records and vinyl, please like and subscribe to the channel, because I do this every week. And this week's episode is about Excitable Boy by Warren Zevon. So, this album was released in 1978. It was recorded in 1977 at the Sound Factory in Los Angeles. And it was released on the record label called Asylum. So, if you don't know Warren Zevon, you might know who he is. He sings a song, well, the most popular song of his is on this album, which is probably his most popular album. And the song is called Werewolves of London. And that's a pretty good sort of representation, I feel, of Warren Zevon's music. A lot of storytelling, this sort of like dark humor to it. He was a frequent guest on David Letterman, the late night it was the Late Show with David Letterman. And he was really good friends with Hunter S. Thompson, who will always be my favorite writer. And they'd do things like hang out in his backyard and blow up dynamite with William Burroughs. And, that crowd. And Warren Zevon, he's had quite a career and quite a life of hanging around a bunch of, famous, interesting people. So he was born in Chicago and moved to New York City to become a folk singer. And when he got to New York, he was part of a duo, which I never knew, called Lime and Cybele. And they had their first single was a bit of a hit, but their second flopped, which was a Bob Dylan cover. So he left the group and became like a sessions musician, and he started touring. His first album came out in 1970, and he toured with the Everly Brothers, and eventually 5 years later he moved back to Los Angeles and was roommates with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. And Mick Fleetwood is actually on this album. So it was, sort of hanging out with this sort of crew that attracted others, like members of the Eagles, Bonnie Raitt, and Linda Ronstadt actually, would recorded some of his songs, which, helped his popularity. So by the time his third album dropped, he was sort of ready for prime time. And prime time is what he got. The album did well. Werewolves of London single reached number 21, and that was on the charts, on the top 40 for 6 weeks, which is, quite an accomplishment. And the album was certified platinum, and it was a top 10 on the Billboard 200. I can't see what number it was. So yeah, it was quite successful, and made him a household name. Uh, and besides Linda Ronstadt recording some of his songs, she sings backup and harmony on this album, on the title track. Uh, uh, Also, Jackson Browne and Wendy Wachtel are the producers of this album. Jackson Browne is really, don't really need any introduction. But if you do, Jackson Browne is a great artist. You look them up. Waddy is a sessions guitarist who also worked with Fleetwood Mac and people like Stevie Nicks solo, Randy Newman, Keith Richards, also Linda Ronstadt. So they had this sort of circle of these sort of genius 70s musicians going on. I mentioned that Mick Fleetwood plays drums on Where It Was of London. So the album is sort of fortified by all these other great musicians behind Warren, who's a great musician himself. So that's why the album has such a really, the album's sort of built like a castle. There's not it's one of these albums that you don't really want to skip a song. It's good from the top to the bottom, which I didn't really expect. I didn't really expect to like this much, but I really did. And personally, I feel it has a bit of a Billy Joel sound to it. Or maybe it's vice versa. But I think it's a fantastic album, and definitely worthy of its sort of iconic status. So yeah, let's take a look inside. Clean off this price tag. Let me get it now, or else I'll never get it. It's like, why would you want to put a price tag on the album? There's gotta be a smarter way to do this. There you go. Alright. There's Warren. Let me see if there's any album. Okay, album design and photograph by Jimmy Wachtel, which is let me see if. Yeah, so Waddy Wachtel is the producer, and Jimmy Wachtel is the album design and photographer. So must assume there must be some kind of relation. Okay, cool. Nice dust cover. Keep that. Asylum Records. Alright, nice silver printing with a yellow backing. Means I can't read a damn thing. Alright, and this is side 2 anyway, so let's flip it up. And I'll use the back of the record to help. Alright, side 1, we start with Johnny Strikes Up the Band. And the second song is Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner. Number 3 is the title track, Excitable Boy. And number 4 is the ever popular Werewolves of London. And the last song on the first side is Accidentally Like a Martyr. And side 2, we start with Nighttime in the Switching Yard. Second song is Veracruz, which is such an interesting song. Third song is Tenderness on the Block. And the final song is Lawyers, Guns, and Money, which is another popular song of his. Alright, we'll keep this. Here's its plastic liner. Werewolves of London is definitely a classic rock staple, at least for our local classic rock station here. So I've been hearing the song since I was at least in high school. And yeah, so it has this sort of humorous feel to it, but also like this sincerity. And just that sense of like this wild fun, so I can definitely see how him and Hunter S got along. Unfortunately, Warren died in 2003. But before he left us this great music and one of the best albums from the 70s, Excitable Boy. Alright everyone, thanks for watching, see you next week.